These are the true events of November 1965. The Ia Drang Valley of Vietnam. A place our country does not remember and a war it does not understand. This story is a testament to the young Americans who died in the Valley of Death and a tribute to the young men of the People's Army of Vietnam who died by our hand in that place. To tell this story, I must start at the beginning.
We interrupt this program to bring you a special report.
This is Cheapseat Reviews.
What is up? And thank you for listening to Cheapseat. I don't know, that sounded strange. Can I say that? What is up? No, let's not do that. Hello! That sounds much more official and less lame. So I'll start over. Hello, and thank you for listening to Cheapseat Reviews, the podcast that explores the Hollywood film industry for the greater good. I feel like I'm arguing with myself, which is pretty funny. This is episode 121, and today we are talking about We Were Soldiers. I am Shawn Allred, and joining me tonight is Andrew Snake Shit Jimison.
Hello.
As always, awkward and short, just like Andrew. And Corny,
Thank you.
Don't pee on my mortar, Logan.
What I want you to do is I want you to go over that ridge, and that's it. And then wait for a couple days, ignore every other direct order, and come back.
Okay. That sounds easy and dangerous. Yeah, so let's pull up a comfy chair. Once again, this is our second week in a row with no Sam. He's on vacation with the fam. So he'll be back next week for whatever the hell we're doing. I haven't looked ahead yet. So yeah, this is 2002's We Were Soldiers. And it's going to be interesting, this episode, I think, to say the least. Andrew, if you will please, sir, tell us, what was We Were Soldiers?
Well, I don't know because
You forgot.
I forgot. Well, let me quickly find that because it's on here. Okay. Based on the best-selling book and true story, We Were Soldiers is a war drama which shows the story of the first battle between the United States and Vietnam forces.
All right. Well, that's actually, that's kind of it. That's what this movie is about. Thank you. So, before we get to the real deep stuff that is this movie, had you guys seen this before?
I had never seen it.
Corny?
I remember bits and pieces of this. I remember the scenes where his wife, Mel Gibson's wife, was going around and delivering the your dead letters, and that's all I remember.
Okay.
But, so at some point in time, I did. I don't know. Maybe I was drunk. I don't know. Who knows?
All right. I watched this in the theater. I saw this movie in the theater.
What's wrong with you?
Well, I don't know. I like movies, and this seemed like a good one to go watch. And I own this on DVD as well. And so I have I watched all of the deleted scenes and stuff like that, and I'll talk about that later because there's a deleted scene that I wish wasn't deleted because it really shows emphasis to one of the characters, which is my favorite character in the movie. And as will be evidenced by the clips that I pulled for the movie. Are you
going to pull a clip that doesn't exist?
No.
Okay.
What, is that a thing? Have I done that?
No, just... Oh. Sorry, you just pulled out some random clip of another war movie.
Oh, yeah, no. I love the smell of napalm in the morning. Oh, wait, wrong movie. No, so this is the part of the show where I ask you guys to do your your initial thoughts. So, Andrew, since you have not seen this, and because I always go to you first, please tell us your initial thoughts.
Okay. Well, this movie, like I said, I'd never seen it before, and I was very pleasantly surprised. I really enjoyed watching it. Of course, knowing that it is based on a true event and knowing the lives of people that I know who personally served in Vietnam, it's hard to watch in some places, of course, and hard to think about. But the movie itself, I thought was well done. I don't honestly know if all the events in the movie, I haven't done my homework, were historically accurate. But that aside, I enjoyed watching it, and I thought it was done very well.
Okay. Corny.
I kind of hate factual war movies. I don't know why. Because, I mean, it had all the elements that I do love in a movie: explosions, death, gunfire, witty banter. But I don't know. I guess it's just hard. I have to think about it. But I really enjoyed this movie. Like, I watched it over 2 days because my schedule doesn't allow me to actually sit down for more than a couple hours unless I'm playing music. And I watched about the first hour or so, and then I was late to something because I kept watching. And then, of course, I watched it as soon as I got home today, and was very pleased. I got to be honest that I thought that maybe it ended too happy. I kind of wanted, I don't know, I feel like it cheated a little bit by giving us a little bit of a happy ending, a bit of a happy ending, I should say. But otherwise, I really liked the movie.
Okay. It's interesting. I want to explore that happy ending with you in a little bit. Yeah. So again, I own this on DVD. Now that if you've been listening to this show for at least a few episodes, maybe not all 120, you'll know that I own movies that I don't like. But because I didn't know that, they were just cheap at Walmart or Blockbuster when that was a thing, and I just bought it. Like, I own Fantastic Four on DVD, and I kind of hate that movie, but it was cheap, and but this isn't that case. I watched this in the theater. I really liked it. I bought it on DVD. I've watched the behind the scenes. I like this movie a lot, but it's probably been 8-9 years since I've watched it, and I had forgotten how hard this movie is. This movie, and Corny, you have the benefit of having taken a break. Like you watched it, and then you got to take a break and go do some fun things, and then work, and then some fun things, and then you finished it. But I think Andrew, you and I, you sat and just watched it, right?
Yeah.
So, and I can't speak obviously for you, and I'll let you speak to this. But for me, it's emotionally draining.
It really is. Yeah.
And so that's why, Corny, I mentioned that you got to break. I don't know if it was like that for you or not. But the break kind of is really, it's training sequence, and then an initial fight, I think is about an hour, and then the second hour is like when the meat meets the metal, I think is the phrase that he uses.
The meat meets the metal.
Meat meets the metal, yeah. The last hour is intense and hard, and I kind of had forgotten how kind of literally breathtaking it is, as in there were moments that it was hard to watch and hard to breathe, and in the back of my mind I'm thinking, how are we supposed to make an entertaining podcast about this movie, because it's so serious and dark and about such a hard and real subject. And then I figured, well, with the three of us, we'll find a way to at least make the show somewhat entertaining.
Well, we did say meat 7 times just now.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is how I know I couldn't have been in the Army, because he would have been like, and this is where the meat meets the middle.
Yeah, and you snicker a little bit.
What was that, soldier? You said meat, sir. I'm sorry. I love meat.
I just want bacon now.
I had bacon for dinner, and
Just bacon?
well, that and another meat, but
okay.
bacon was a part of said meat, and I've not made a better decision today.
Okay, I'm glad. I'm really glad for you, pal. Like I said, 2002's We Were Soldiers stars Mel Gibson, and as as happens in war movies, where you have to have a large cast because you have to for war movies typically, unless it's movies like Lone Survivor or Shooter or whatever, where you can do a small cast. You're going to get a big cast. So you get Mel Gibson, Madeline Stowe is his wife. She's in a handful of things, but nothing I remember. Greg Kinnear, who's great. Sam Elliott, who is the man, and he genuinely terrifies me.
What do you say, boy?
Right. Chris Klein, who was what was from American Pie movies. Kerry Russell, who is the hot one. Barry Pepper, Barry Pepper is great in everything that he does, and he needs to be in more things. You had your Clark Gregg, also known as Agent Coulson, in this.
Mm-hmm. That would explain why he knows Captain America.
Oh yeah, because they were both soldiers. John Hamm is in this. Fans of the Mad Men there.
Still smoking.
He's still smoking, yeah. And there's some other people that I'm trying to remember if I recognized or not. There might have been a few more, but I can't remember. But anyway, so it's a big cast, and Agent Coulson was great. And even in the movie, he dies, spoiler. But then I thought, oh, that's okay.
No.
Nick Fury will find him and put him back together, and he'll be back for the TV show.
Put him back together?
Yeah. Well, that's what they do in the show. Did you not know that? Sorry if I just spoiled something.
That's okay.
Because they basically put him back together for Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. And in fact, in the new season of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., he has a bionic prosthetic. Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah, I know what that means.
Yeah,
He's reliable with the ladies.
Well, I mean, he has a mechanical hand, is what it is, basically. So basically, it could be, maybe it has a vibrate function. I don't know. Oh, this is getting weird.
He's actually going to be Dr. Claw later on.
Yeah. He's stroking some cat.
How could you get it next time?
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. That was
I'll add that to my list of voices I can do.
Right. So this was one of those movies that Mel Gibson did. It didn't really make a whole lot of money. It only cost $75 million to make. I say only, but a lot of practical effects, so there wasn't a whole lot of CG. Some of the helicopters and some of the planes were CG, but all the explosions were real fire, things like that. It only made $78 million, so it didn't really make, it didn't lose money. It broke even, but like we've talked about, it's kind of a hard movie. But the one thing that I really like about the movie is that the director knew that this was going to be hard, right? The battle scene is going to be rough. So we're going to put some fun at the beginning, right? We're going to put some joy. We're going to have a guy become a dad, which the moment he became a dad, you're like, oh, he's going to die.
Oh, he just became a red shirt.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And, you got Sam Elliott with the great one-liners and, Greg Kinnear with his snake shit bit and Too Tall and stuff like that. So you had a lot of kind of fun at the beginning of the movie. As it builds up, the tension builds towards the fight. And then you have the fight itself. And within the fight, there's a couple of brevity, is that the word? Kind of light moments. But again, for the most part, it's not. So, yeah. So I'm actually curious, Corny. I want to go back to your intro. You said it kind of ends happy. I'm actually curious because my understanding of the ending of the movie is that it paints kind of a rough picture and.
Well, I guess in that situation, they're overrun, they're surrounded, and of course you have those things where he takes the random shot and it hits something, but it doesn't hit him, and turns around and kills the enemy. And then you've got the one guy who runs up and is gonna stab him, but he turns around and headshot. I mean, things like that. In my mind, he should have died. They all should have died, or I don't know. And I don't know. It could have happened, and I don't know how true that is.
Well, what we
but
know,
in my mind, him coming.
Go ahead.
Oh no! Oh, sorry. I was just in my mind. I don't see everyone coming back, and I don't particularly see him coming back because of an act of bravery.
Well, I will say this: regardless of whether or not that particular moment when the dude went to bayonet him and he turned around, shoots him in the head, and says, "Getting kind of sporty down here," whether that actually happened, who knows? That might be Hollywood. What is real is Hal Moore did live, because the movie is based on the book that he wrote. So he did live. That's not Hollywood. And all of the men that did survive were real. And all of the men that died, ones that they actually died.
Yeah, I read somewhere that they made sure that when they filmed the movie that there was somebody representing each person from their actual platoon in the movie. And, whether they had a name or not, or whether they were on screen a lot or not, they made sure that there was somebody representing each person.
Right. So that part is actually accurate. So I don't know if that, Corny, if that actually makes the movie better or worse for you. I don't know. I guess that's for you to decide. But yeah, that stuff's real. So again, how it was depicted, I don't know if that's real or not. I mean, that might be Hollywood, and it might be him trying to sell a book. I mean, for all we know, he stood by that termite mound and was never shot at all. The bit where I think we talking about like someone he gets shot in the flashlight, and he just turns and looks over, and then he takes out about 5 or 6 guys. I mean, who knows if that's real? But I would bet that the majority of that stuff that happened that we saw was real, which is incredible to think that 4,000 men. I mean, this is another story of basically the story of the 300, right? Where instead of 300 versus 1,000,000, it's 450 versus 4,000.
Mm-hmm.
And though they didn't win, they didn't lose, which is kind of what the Vietnam War was. To think about. Did that help? Make it worse? Anything, Corny?
No. Okay. Well, I'll say this. So I can agree with the ending. I still don't like. I mean, sorry. When odds are like that are happening, and the movie ends and people escape and things are good, I just don't see that. And I get that it's real, and I'm not arguing that point. I'm just saying that we see movies like this, and not like this. We see movies where you have overwhelming odds, and the people, the good guys always get out, which makes movies great. And then a movie like this, I expect more death. There was a lot of death. Don't get me wrong. I mean, everybody was dead, but I don't know. I just wanted more death. I kind of maybe I just wanted Mel Gibson to die. Maybe that's all I cared about. That's a possibility.
Okay, well, I mean,
no, it doesn't really change my opinion.
Okay.
Oh, sorry.
Well, it's fine. I am. Okay, it's your opinion. Hey, that's why we do the show, so get your opinion. But I just want you to be very aware that I would bet that the majority of what we saw was fairly how it went. Now, I think Hollywood took a little bit of license with the concept that I referred to it as the chess match. Like,
yeah,
the Vietnam generals or the Vietnamese generals, like, all right, we need the creek bed. And then a second later, he goes, we got to secure the creek bed. That's vital. And then he says, go flank them. And he's like, they're going to flank us. And then he does this. It was literally like an episode of Leverage when Nate has the camera pointed at the bad guy, and the bad guy's saying, this is what we're going to do so we can counter it. I mean,
yeah,
it was a little too much like that. But as a movie, it worked to me. I liked it as the movie. In real life, that seemed too convenient, I think.
Well, you're going to laugh at this. So I believe that more than I believed him surviving.
Well, I don't have a problem with Mel Gibson surviving. Again, he's a colonel, right? He's not going to be near the fighting, right? He said he's the first to step up and the last to leave. But he has to command his troops from a central location. So, I mean, in all fairness, he probably only got shot at a handful of times. It wasn't like he was on the front lines, I mean, if it's of anyone to the fact that they survived. The fact that any of those men from the Knoll survived is amazing. So, Gary Bertier from,
Yeah, I only called him Bertier. Like,
Yeah.
it's the only thing.
though Sergeant Savage is a pretty freaking cool name.
Yeah, it is.
And he's a great character, and he's a great, like,
Isn't he a G.I. Joe?
And wasn't he a wrestler?
I think so. Like, all of those things I think are real, and maybe they're all based off of him, the person. Who knows? But he was awesome, and his character, like, if that man was real, because that scene when they all dive, right? Like, they've become surrounded, and then the lieutenant, and you see like this in especially Vietnam movies where the lieutenant's in charge of the platoon, and he's an idiot, right? Or the squad, I guess, and he's like, follow me, and he's like, wait, no, stop, we shouldn't, but I have to follow your orders, and then he's like, follow me, and then he gets shot, and then the next guy stands up, and then gets shot, and then the third guy stands up, and then finally Bertier is like, well, I guess I'm in command, so stay down. Like, the fact that they survived is amazing. Now again, they had artillery, which that to me is amazing too. The fact that he can call out a coordinate, and he can have 5 miles away some dude pull a trigger and blow up a specific tree.
Oh yeah.
That stuff is truly fascinating to me.
That's what I need, but to deliver beer, that would be awesome.
I need beer delivered to the previous
I need
established coordinates. Alpha Bravo
I need
Charlie.
a nice cold can from the Rocky Mountains at 9 or 5, 6, 4.
That's right. And then you hear Sam Elliott's voice say, the banquet beer. And then he comes flying in. I like this idea.
That part of the movie actually made me really stop and think for a while. Like, when these guys were fighting, they didn't have night vision. They didn't have GPS. They didn't have all the technology that we have now. And this was, this was pretty much like off the cuff,
right,
so to speak, not off the cuff. That sounds like that's not what I mean.
Yeah, but they're kind of having to make stuff up based off their training. I mean, those radios they had, good God, it took a dude just to carry one.
Yeah.
So, I mean, no, you're right. That scene, that bit when they're lying there on the grass, right? And then the kid says, I can smell them. And he's like, no, you're just smelling the body. He's like, no, I can smell them. And then he calls for illumination, and then they take care of business. Like, that bit was, like, that's to your point, Andrew. You're right. Like, these guys, it's all about their training, and it's just, it's truly amazing that those guys survived. So
Would it be interesting. Oh
no, please go.
I was like, wouldn't it be interesting if the guy just happens to smell a particular type of cologne or something, and it just happens to go downwind? Or I mean, yeah, I know it's not that, but what if that was the thing that gave away their position?
Yeah,
because Johnson over there. Well, I know it's not Johnson, but hey man, we're gonna go kill some Americans. Nah, I'm just gonna put the stuff on. I never get to wear it. It's gonna be the death of us.
Yeah,
it'll be fine. Hey, dude, do you smell Chanel number 5? I do. Light them up, boys.
They could have done that and not made it comedic, but they could have had that moment where, like, they showed that one radio guy, right, who was about to bayonet Mel Gibson, write the note to his wife and then put it in his jacket, so that we could follow him and actually have a little bit of emotional moment when Mel Gibson plugs him in the head. But it would have been an interesting thing had, like, they're all eating soup or something, right? Like, they're all eating their noodles, right? And then they get called in to do this fight, and so, like, that's when he's like, I smell noodles. Yeah, they're coming. That might have been racist. I don't know, but
I was like, that might be. I mean, I don't know.
Well, truth be told, in this kind of situation where you're out in God knows what kind of weather and climate, and you haven't bathed, and it could really be some pungent body odor that you could really smell someone.
Yeah, probably could. All right. So this has always kind of bothered me about the movie. Now, in a movie like this, and this happens, right? And I've seen this movie at least 10 times. And even movies like Black Hawk Down and Saving Private Ryan, and other war movies, again, where you have large casts, when you have a character who you haven't seen on screen in a while, he comes in, you forget who he is. So after the first day of fighting, Greg Kinnear comes back, right? And he gets out of the helicopter, and this guy comes up and he's like, "You led my men, blah, blah," and he gets mad, and Greg Kinnear loses it and draws his weapon on this guy, and then they push him away, right? Who was that guy? I don't know who he was. I still don't know who he was.
The guy who walks up?
Yeah, the guy who gets mad at him, and he's like, "Hey, snake shit, you led my men into the battle, into a hot LZ." I'm like, wait, who are you? Like, why are you mad? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
He is. He's either one of the pilots when they so in the first LZ, and they're like, "Hey, we need to get in there," and he goes in. That one guy gets shot down, because they're with the medvac guys. He is either their commander, or a pilot.
The only thing, him being in charge of the medevac dudes makes the most sense to me, because Greg Kinnear is in charge of his helicopter group. Like, those are his pilots. So he's responsible for their lives. But I don't understand how Dude Man gets mad at Greg Kinnear for trying to save the lives of other troopers. That scene has never made sense to me. And again, I don't remember. I don't know who that guy is, right? He just comes out of nowhere and attacks Greg, and he pulls that 38 on him, sticks him in his face, and said, "You have the balls. You don't have the balls to face the enemy. You're going to come after me," or something like that. Like, I mean, I get why Greg is upset, but it seems strange. That scene has always seemed strange and out of place to me personally. I will say this. So part of what we do in this particular podcast is we also kind of say the good things and the bad. And I think this is otherwise a very, very great film that has a lot of really good things. But the one thing that I hate with a capital H, I think it's awful, I think it's cheesy, I think it does a disservice to the movie, is when Barry Pepper decides to put down the rifle and pick up the camera, and you've got all these black and white stills, and they superimpose him doing these action shots of him taking pictures.
Mm-hmm.
I hate that. I really do.
I'm right there with you. When I saw that portion, I said, all right, this is kind of losing me here, because it took me out of what was going on.
Right.
You know, okay, these are pictures of what happened. Great. That's nice. But do we have to superimpose him over top of it? No.
You don't. You can, if you want to do that, I think there's two ways you do it that makes the movie better. One, you just see him pick up the camera, and then you just have a little Ken Burns slideshow for a minute of the pictures he took. Now, in fairness, the pictures we saw on screen were not ones that character, that the actual person took. Those were all production shots.
That makes it even worse.
Well, no, it kind of makes me sad that they couldn't use actual photos. The other thing that I would have enjoyed him doing then is showing him actually going up to people and taking pictures, and then showing us the still. Actually showing him walking into the grass and snap the photo, and then we see the snapshot.
Mm-hmm.
I would have liked that even better. Instead of that cheesy, weird... I
even thought, why don't we leave this out and do it at the credits? I don't know.
That would have worked too, is during the credits, have pictures of the men during the fight, and after, as they're resting and whatever. I would have been very good with that.
Yeah.
Okay. Question for Corny. And Andrew, you can certainly chime in if you know the answer. I don't know the answer. This isn't a trick question. Corny, you with me?
I just pulled an Andrew. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I was about to start cussing you there.
So we're gonna obviously I'm gonna give the soundtrack grade later on, but I'm just gonna go ahead and say it. I love the soundtrack to this movie. I think it's amazing. I really do. Mm-hmm. I think that the dude man that did it did a phenomenal job, and I don't know his name. I'm gonna
man, comma dude.
I'm gonna look it up in just a second. But while I'm looking that up, the movie opens after the French they're killed. Nick Glenn Smith. Glenny Smith. Okay. He is just while I'm looking up, he is known for, he hasn't really done a whole lot. He did the soundtrack to wait, that's not right. It says composer The Rock. 96 is The Rock? No. Hans Zimmer did The Rock. Okay, now I'm really confused.
Or did he?
And angry.
Bum, bum, bum.
I know Hans Zimmer did. Because it's very Hans Zimmer-y. Anyway,
Hans Zimmer.
Okay, it literally says music by
Zimmer.
music by Nick Glenny Smith and Hans Zimmer. Okay, so they both worked on it. Fine.
The music you heard was not completely his.
Well, maybe he did that. Fire Down Below, Home Alone 3, The Man in the Iron Mask, The Lion King 2, Highlander Endgame, this movie, Ella Enchanted, Secretariat, and Heaven is for Real, which is the same movies that the director filmed. So he hasn't really done a lot. Now he's done as what's called the music department, as like conductor. He's done Batman vs. Superman, Pixels, The Little Princess, All Night Run, Transformers, $1 Million Arm, Amazing Spider-Man 2. So he's done about 1,000 where he was either the music arranger or the conductor. So that's cool. You get to conduct somebody else's music. I mean, that's actually kind of cool.
I'd be okay with that.
Right, that'd be a cool job to have. What's your job? I get to conduct John Williams' music. Okay, you know.
I mean, that's pretty much what I do.
Technically, every band director is that guy.
You're right, yeah.
I was gonna. That's what he does now.
That's what we all do. Or,
what I used to do in a long time ago.
yeah, that's what I do in my car as I drive, listening to my film soundtracks.
I kind of miss it. Then I think of kids. I'm like, nah, I'm good.
So anyway, my point is that where I was going with is the drum, right? The drum itself, it has a metallic sound to it. How do they do that?
Yeah. So literally, you find, and Andrew, I guess you'll see this a lot more now, but composers just find all kinds of random things like, hey, hit this one random thing. Here's a break from a car drum. Hit that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, here's a stuffed dolphin. Hit that. No, it has to be a dolphin. That's the specific sound that I want to hear. So, no, I mean, on all honesty, it was probably just, hey, here's the back of one of those chairs that you get in high school. Yeah, just hit that.
Okay, so you're saying that it might not have been an actual snare drum with some kind of attachment to it. You're saying that it could have been some other kind of strange thing to hit.
I'm thinking you just double the part. You do a snare for the part of that traditional sound, and then something that will get that kind of reverb sound. I mean, I know a guy who arranges percussion stuff, and he will hit things and go, "That's the ring I want," that kind of thing. And
yeah.
So I can see that being a thing.
Okay.
And here I just thought all drummers had ADD, when really they are just hitting things to test what they sound like.
Nice.
No, that too. No, we totally have it.
Because I've heard that sound in other, mainly war movies, though. Because it's usually like war movies, patriotic movies that feature a lot of snare in their, in their soundtracks. And I was just trying to.
It could also be a digitally altered sound. You can take a snare sound and
run it through a processor.
Yeah, which could be what happened. And Hans Zimmer does that quite a bit, actually.
Yeah, I know he does. He also likes his he likes the techno. That's like one of his favorite genres, and you can really tell in some of his, like the Amazing Spider-Man 2. It's a little techno-y. I'm actually, as we've been talking, I've actually been skimming through the message boards just to see if anyone said anything about it, and no one did. And it's not in the trivia, so I guess I will probably never know what the actual sound was, how they produced it. But I was just wondering, it was a cool sound, So, I mean, and I don't know. I guess part of me wants it to be natural and acoustical, like not being processed, is what you were talking about. Like I want it to be, somebody built a cast iron drum kit or a cast iron snare, and it gives it a weird metallic sound, or
Which is also a possibility.
yeah, or they're hitting it with a weird type of stick or something. Anyway, we've spent too much time on that. Anyway,
You can never spend too much time on sticks.
well, that's
and,
fair.
and hitting things.
I will say this, Corny, you'll appreciate this. So we had a concert in in my building last week, and I had kind of new guys running sound. So the band guys went to go eat dinner, and I'm like, "Hey, drummer, do you mind if I sit in and actually do sound check so that because they didn't have a lot of time for sound check after dinner." I said, "Do you mind if I go ahead and sit behind you?" He said, "No, that's fine. Go ahead, go for it." And I don't know if you saw, you have a missed call from me. That's because I accidentally kind of broke his hi-hat. I was trying to call you to help me fix it.
Oh, dude, I'm sorry.
I was able to figure it out eventually, but I was really scared for a few minutes. We'll talk off here what the hell I did. But anyway, so this is how awful it was, right? I'm back there giving him 4 on the floor, right? 4 kicks on the bass drum, boom, 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 boom. And he's yelling at me, all right, so what should I kind of EQ should I do? And so okay, I can't get up, and then, so I'm literally like yelling back and forth what kind of EQs, and it was a funny sight. You would have enjoyed it, Corny, and just needless to say. What I should have done is hooked my iPad up to the mixer and then done the EQ for him so he could have seen what I meant, but I didn't think about it at the time because I was too busy trying to fix his stupid hi-hat.
What function did it do? Did it just stop being able to close and open?
Oh, well, okay. So basically when he left for lunch or dinner, he does what most drummers do, right? When the pedal is at rest, you open the wing nut at the top so that the top cymbal rests on the bottom cymbal, and then you tighten it back up. So when you take your foot off, it's resting, right? Mm-hmm. You're not engaging the spring or the whatever. So when I loosened it, however, it dropped to the floor. So the middle pipe went straight all the way down, and I couldn't get it to engage back up. And so I take the cymbals off, and I finally found that there was a middle section that had been taut. And when I loosened it, it shot the spring up and about poked my eye out. And so then I tightened that back up and then put the thing in a right position so that I could actually use it so I could test the overhead mics. It was a pretty funny little scene. So anyway, I can't remember why I was telling you all that, but I did. So back to this movie. So another thing that bothered me is this is the middle of the 60s, right? And I'm pretty sure, didn't we see that the fort was like in the South, like Fort George? It was in Georgia or something like that, right? Is that
I just read that.
Benning, Georgia or something? I don't remember where it was.
Yeah.
Now, I get that these army wives are not from there. I get that. They're probably from all over the country. But I had a real hard time with this woman who did not understand the concept that when the laundromat said whites only, it meant white people. And I know the whole point of that scene was to give us that the only black woman in the movie, that really great little narrative that she gave about her husband's clothes are going to be clean no matter what. It seemed strange to me. It still seemed off. Did that? Am I alone in that, or?
I say no because of
no. What? No, I'm not alone, or no, it didn't bother you.
Oh, sorry. No, it didn't bother me, and for me, it was because of Remember the Titans, and the fact that Sunshine was pretty cool with everybody. I was like, oh, she must be from California.
Actually, that's a good point. I didn't think about that. You're right. Because Sunshine doesn't understand that when they go into that restaurant, why the owner refuses to serve them.
Which brings me to an important point. Gary Bertier is a time traveler. Boom.
Well, yeah, I guess you're right. You're right. Okay, so I see what your point, and that's actually a valid point. I didn't think about it, but for some reason it still seemed strange to me
That Gary Bertier is a time traveler?
I'm actually very cool with that. But that other white woman did not understand the concept of whites only. I thought that was dumb.
Yeah, I'd like to take a moment to say that this was relatively short and answered very quickly. But I'd really like to see what Sam would have done in the situation.
What do you mean?
Like his response to you saying that.
Oh, who knows? Probably make fun of me again somehow.
I don't know. He might have gone something weird like, I don't know, who knows?
He might have called me racist or something.
Or Jurassic Park this. Yeah, I don't know. But,
yeah. Well, Jurassic Park, they weren't racist. And
well, the T-Rex did eat a black dude, so that's to me, that's racist.
Actually, it was the raptor ate the black dude.
Oh, that's right. The raptor ate
so they are equal opportunity eaters.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
Yeah.
Sam's not even going to listen to this episode. I guess we're okay.
Yeah, you're fine. He probably won't. I kind of got a little tired of them kind of hammering in the whole this is Custer's last stand. I mean, it's the 7th Army or the 7th Regiment, and how do you think Custer felt and all this sort of stuff. I got a little tired of it. I mean, I understand that Colonel Moore is a historian, a military historian, and there's certainly strong parallels to it. I don't know. I got a little tired of it, but it didn't really bother me that much. But whatever. My next note was, I guess having large presentations for the regiment in front of the wives is a thing. It just seems strange. Or maybe they just needed Mel Gibson to deliver some inspirational lines in a cool setting. So when he gives, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, maybe they could just do a backdrop of a giant American flag, because it worked for Patton.
Like for Patton. Well, yeah. I don't know. I guess is that a thing? Like right before we go into battle, we're going to get into our dress uniforms, right? And then I'm going to deliver a message with these helicopters there and the women there. It seemed, I don't know. Again, it was a cool scene, but it seemed strange to me. But I guess it's a thing. I don't know. None of us are in the military. I do have a buddy that's in the Navy. I guess I could ask him, but I would assume that the modern Navy has very little to do with the 1960s Army. So, it also seemed strange to me that they would board the buses with their rifles. I don't know why that seemed.
Yeah, that seemed dangerous. That seemed like, one sleep Floridian that we know accident from happening.
Right. Like, yeah, right. Like it seemed, again, and maybe that's probably the way it is, right? Because I mean, I guess we have to kind of take the movie at face value, but it seemed like one of those things that can't we just ship them over there? Can we put these in a box where it's safe? Because
well, you have to remember it was 1964. Well, we didn't, and maybe they still do it today, or still would do it today, but. You got to think about, we didn't wear seatbelts back then, and 12-year-olds could smoke and all that.
I guess you're right about that.
I couldn't go.
I guess you're probably right about that. It just seems awkward. Like, man, I got to sit here in this small bus seat with my M16. Seems uncomfortable. Army intelligence, which is, of course, is an oxymoron. But that bit was so let's go here for just a second if you guys want to. I wanted to talk mostly just about the movie and not about what actually happened in the real life part. But let's just talk about this for a second. Hey, the Vietnamese troops came down. They didn't do any damage and then they ran away. So let's go kill them. Well, how many men are we going against? We don't know. Okay, does no one else think that's a bad idea? I mean, and seriously, the purpose of the battle serves no purpose other than to kill each other, right? I mean, nothing was gained. It wasn't like they were taking ground or defending people. It wasn't like the North Vietnamese were pushing against a village of innocent people, and the troops went in to defend it. Like, they just went there to kill them, and we killed a bunch, and they killed some, and then we left. It just... again, I don't know. I don't want to get too deep into Vietnam and the war and the politics and stuff like that, but it just seemed really dumb to me. So, but again, Army intelligence, right?
Yeah. And I don't think that was and this is kind of delving more into what actually happened, but just hearing stories of veterans that I know that were in Vietnam, that seems to be a trend, that they did a lot of what they did without knowing why they were doing it and without having good intelligence.
Right. Well, all I'll say about the war itself is it's hard to fight a belief with bullets. And that's kind of what it was. We were trying to fight the spread of communism with bullets. Anyway. The telegram bit. Oh, that scene was rough. It's rough to watch. And you kind of get mad a little bit at the U.S. Army for that's how you handled it.
They kind of dropped the ball on that one.
Yeah, that just like World War II. Like we were ready, right? Like you send a staff sergeant or a military personnel and a chaplain, and you get some prayer time and some condolences, and it's like a typed letter from a person. This was a telegram from a cab dude, like that.
Via Western Union.
I did have a chuckle that the advertisement on the back of the car said air conditioned. So I'm sure back then that was a big damn deal.
Your tears will freeze on your face, so you can keep them as a memento. The moment your
right
life got ruined.
Corny, I just saw your text, by the way. So
yeah, it's okay.
But I know what I think it's worth it doing. So
Andrew, what you were talking about before, with the Vietnam War and all these things that were going on, it just brings to mind that
it was a different time.
Yeah,
there it is.
I wondered where we were going with that.
Yeah, that was good. And you know what we have to say? We know what war is. Well, war is
the devil.
There you go. So
it's like he's here in our room.
That's right. I kind of wish I had more of Chad. I really do. Though, in fairness, I do have 100 episodes. I can just go back and capture them. But that sounds.
Oh, dude, I would pay you to go back through 100 episodes to make commentary to a movie.
That would be interesting to just take like previously said statements and then like put them to a movie. I don't know if I could do it for like an hour-long episode, but it would be fun to do for like a 5-minute segment.
Chad didn't say that much.
I know.
to have an hour long.
But not just Chad. You mean like all of us, right, Corny?
No, I mean you just take Chad.
Oh, just Chad. From
episode 1 to 100, and then just create Chad's responses. Usually with a suck it, Sam. It was a different time. Just do that at random times, and
that would take me weeks to do.
I will.
And at tops, that's 30 minutes worth of audio.
I mean, yeah, there were probably episodes where Chad spoke total of like 7 minutes of the podcast.
Yeah, but his lines were gold.
They were really good.
They were.
I think we're talking about Chad like he was actually in this war and we lost him.
Yeah, I know. It is funny how we do. I mentioned before, then we lost Chad. Like, no way, he's not dead. He's just he became a father and just life.
I'm not dead yet.
Right, exactly.
I feel happy.
That would be an interesting thing to have, like a 5-minute thing, like soliloquy of just Chad and his quote unquote opinion on this movie. So, Chad, what did you think about Sahara? And then it's just a series of clips of him making fun of Sam. Oh, I like this idea, actually. I just wish I had time to do it.
What do you got, a baby or something?
Yeah, just 2 of them, actually.
Just the 2 of them? Okay.
No, 1 baby and a toddler. But,
Actually, am I the only one in this merry bunch of men that only has 1?
Yes.
Uh-huh.
I win.
That you know of. No, I'm teasing.
College was fun. I mean,
yeah, I know.
I ain't saying I had fun, but I'm just saying. Cornelius running around there.
So last thing I'm going to bring up before I do some of the clips, because I got
eating pancakes, taking names.
Like 9 clips to pull.
Wait, what?
I don't know.
9 clips.
9 of them. So the knoll, right? The group, the soldiers at the knoll, right? When the guy screams, "I'm running out of ammo," and he says, "Save your, one shot, one kill, things like that. There was about, 20, 30 dead Vietnamese soldiers there, and each one of them's carrying an AK-47.
At what point in time do you not run over and grab some weapons?
Right, and so I was wondering if there's something in like the U.S. military, code of whatever that says you will use your weapon, like you will only use your weapon, because we all play Black Ops and Call of Duty. Bad guy drops a weapon, you're gonna pick it up if it's a better weapon than yours. I'm not saying the AK is a better weapon than the M16, which it is, by the way. But my point is that if I was those guys, as these bodies are falling into our space and you're pushing them out of the way so that the smell doesn't get bad, I'm taking their weapons. I'm searching the bodies for bandages and water, and I'm taking their guns and their grenades and whatever. Like I just don't know. Again, not being in the military, I don't know if maybe that they're not either allowed, or maybe it's a pride thing. Like I'm not going to use your weapon, but if my M16's only got 5 rounds and that AK's got 30, I better believe I'm picking up that AK. So, that's
as the previous Mel Gibson war movie has taught me, you fire your gun, you stab somebody with an axe, you pick up another gun, shoot that person, remove the axe. I'm talking about the Patriot.
Yeah.
I just assumed, if I shoot you and your gun falls beside me and you got a lot more bullets, I'm going to shoot mine until I'm out of bullets, and I'm just going to keep shooting with your gun. I mean, I can't imagine that we as a country would be like, nah, we're good. We won't take your weapons and shoot rounds of ammunition that we didn't have to pay for. Like, I would assume that as Americans, the first thing we go is, hey, we take all their weapons and just use their stuff, and we're good. We just hold on to ours.
Right.
I would assume that we would do that.
Yeah, that's why I'm wondering if there's something that says that, like, you shouldn't do that, or you can't, or anything like that,
If only there was some centrally located device where we could search.
Yeah, only an interconnected series of computers that.
I'm on it.
What? It was funny. You were talking about the Patriot, which reminded me, wait a minute. Because I'm watching Deep Space Nine. I've never watched it.
You sad man.
Well, I have to have watched something while I'm feeding Daphne at 3 a.m. to help me stay awake. So I've been watching Deep Space Nine, and I've never watched it. And I'm about 30 episodes into the series, and I've seen about 4 good episodes. But people keep telling me on Facebook to keep sucking, just stay with it. It gets better. And I just realized that the preacher from The Patriot is the constable from Deep Space Nine. So then now I'm down the rabbit hole of what other things was that guy in? And good God, he's in a lot of stuff. He was in, he's been in every TV series ever. Shaolin Showdown TV series. He was in the Justice League TV series, the Legend of Tarzan TV series. He was in Command & Conquer, the video game. Judging Amy, Frasier. So he was in The Little Mermaid. He was Chef Louis. So anyway, there you go. Sorry, weird rabbit hole I went down.
It's okay.
Has nothing to do with this movie except that you mentioned The Patriot.
It has Mel Gibson in it.
Yeah. I mean, there's your connection, I guess.
And there's some shooting, and there's some death.
I don't know if this movie has a Star Trek connection or not. I didn't look, but I kind of feel like maybe Greg Kinnear would have been in.
I was like, isn't Agent Coulson in one of these?
Oh, is he our Star Trek connection? Because that would be really nerdy of him to have been.
I want to say that, yeah, surely has.
Shirley, you say?
Yeah, so don't call me Shirley.
Oh, okay. Iron Man 2. He was. How weird is this? He was in the TV series The Shield. That's kind of funny. Really? No one gets the irony there? I think it's hilarious. He was in a movie called Hot Sauce. That's kind of great. Oh yeah, I forgot he was in Clear and Present Danger. This is like our second or our third movie with him actually, because we did Avengers. No Star Trek for him.
I have read conflicting reports, but just for a couple things, and it looks like yes. If the enemy had more of something, you would just take it if you managed to capture it.
Wait, what?
Or sorry, the question we had asked whether our armed forces.
Are you allowed to take an enemy's weapon?
I mean, I can't say. I'm not saying yes or no, and I really don't know this. Actually, we probably just ask them. Probably report next week. But it looks like that wasn't an uncommon practice. It might not be something they do now.
Right.
And I think it looks like it might be a situation where, if you can't sustain, you retreat.
Right.
And so you don't have to worry about actually picking up.
If you're anyone who listens to this show, seriously, if you listen and you either are in the military, were in the military, or know this answer, I would be really curious to know if it's the thing that if you can do this, or if it's kind of looked down upon.
I could ask my brother-in-law, but he's a missionary in Spain, and I don't really have a good way to get in contact with him. He's a Marine.
That seems like a likely story. He's an assassin.
Well, he could be, actually.
Well, let's just not bother him then.
Or do and see what happens.
Yeah, let's not do that. Oh well. Anyway, it's an interesting thing. I don't know. I find that stuff fascinating. And not that I find war fascinating, but I do like war movies, but not because of the violence, but because of what they are. They're great storytelling things. I don't know what I'm trying to say.
Maybe it's just your violent nature, and that's the way that you express it.
Thanks, Sam. I do like war movies. I mean, some of my favorite movies of all time are war movies. And I don't. Again, it's not because I like the violence, though. Violence on movies and stuff is always. It's nothing new. I mean, why do people like watching Star Wars over Star Trek? Because it's more violent and people die more. I mean, so. But you can also do a war movie without it being super graphic. I mean, not every movie has to be Saving Private Ryan. You can do Gettysburg and make a PG war movie, and it's phenomenal. So, I'm a big fan of that movie, by the way, Gettysburg. The book is great too. The Killer Angels, written by Michael Shara, or Shara, if you want to pronounce it. The last thing I'm gonna read is, so this movie does the thing that I don't like, and I've mentioned 1,000 times before, which is interesting because we've only done 121 episodes, is when a character does something out of context, out of character, just to give the audience a emotional whatever, right? The only reason why Mel Gibson at the end of the movie knocks on the door, right, is so that we can see that there's a cab there, and maybe because so many of those people have died, that it's going to be the telegram dude. And maybe after this 2-hour and 15-minute long movie, you've forgotten that the opening credits said based on the book written by Hal Moore.
Yeah, I totally missed that.
Right. So if you've read that, then you know it's him, right? And who rings the doorbell to their own house? Right? No one would do that. But they do it in the movie to create that last second of tension, and I kind of don't like it when it did that. It kind of bothered me a little bit, but.
Well, she's why I ignore the doorbell when people ring.
Just like, why wouldn't you just come in and just scream, "I'm home!" Like, Daddy's here.
Because it's late and she had a gun. I mean, if history serves my memory, I know not to do that to your home.
Well, that was that one time.
That's all it takes. It only takes once.
That's actually fair. All right, you ready for some clips?
Oh yeah,
Let's do it.
All right. So again, of the 9 clips that I wrote or got, the majority of them are Sam Elliott because he's kind of the comic relief of the movie. He has great one-liners. I mean, his entire dialogue is one-liners, actually. And he looked weird without his mustache. He just looked really strange. Anyway, here's the first one. Oh, and this is a really long clip, so I cut it. So that's why if you were misremembering from the movie this scene, it's because I cut the audio. Anyway.
You're a pilot?
Too tall, sir.
Fly.
Yeah, I can see that.
You call, we haul.
So your men call you Snake Ship.
That's an affectionate appellation of my comrades in arms, sir. As I fly lower in snake ship.
Well,
I didn't mean for that last bit there. I like that. That was great. Too tall. Because that's a thing. Like, he being that tall, he could not have been. All right. So here's the thing. Here's a little secret into the life of pilots, and this I actually know because my Navy buddy is a pilot.
You'd say Life of Pi?
I did not mean to. Life of pilots.
No, you said Life of Pilot. I just,
Okay. You're just thinking about pie?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it is Wednesday, Free Pie Wednesday at O'Charlie's.
I kept hearing Custer today, and I was just like...
So if in the military, right, whether you're the Air Force, Army, Navy, Marine, whatever, when you say, I'm going to be a pilot, everyone's goal is to be a fighter pilot. That's always the goal, right? So you got 100 dudes that apply to be pilots, right? And of the 100, or let's say 1,000 people that we want to be pilots, 100 actually are like, yep, you actually can be pilots. So of that 100, one is going to be a fighter pilot. And the other 99 have to choose different direction. Are you going to be a C-130 pilot and fly cargo planes, basically drive a bus? Or do you want to, there are other attack type airplanes and things like that, but for the most part, people want to fly the fighter jets. Or do you go with not fixed wing and go helicopter, and then of course everyone wants to be the attack helicopter, and then if you can't be that, then there's the other ones, which my buddy did. He flies, it's not the Black Hawk, but it's the Navy version of the Black Hawk. It's like the larger helicopter that you can do rescue missions and stuff, and that's what he did. He was part of the rescue missions when they had the tsunami in Japan. So my point of telling you all that is too tall is literally too tall to have been a fighter pilot. So the moment he said, I want to be a pilot, he has two options. You can either fly a bus or you can be a helicopter pilot because he's significantly too tall to be a fighter pilot. So that was kind of a funny thing. This one cracks me up. It makes me laugh every time.
Morning, Sergeant Major.
How do you know what kind of goddamn day it is?
Love that.
Yeah, that one got me too.
Oh, that one gets me. And Bertier is just like, whatever. So then the next one, right? The next one, which is coming up, he's so nervous, like he trips on the pavement, and he's just trying to make a good impression, and then this happens.
Beautiful morning, Sergeant Major.
Are you a weatherman now?
You got to kind of wonder if was it Donald Keither? Donald. What?
Which
one is this?
Which one's who?
Sorry.
Who is that guy?
Damn it.
Sam Elliott.
Sam Elliott. Sorry.
Not Donald Sutherland.
Sorry.
You just had a Sam moment.
I did, didn't I? But at least I knew I was wrong when I said it. I wonder if he just said it. Wait a minute. That wasn't even in the script. You're supposed to say, yes, it is.
Right.
Like, no, I'm just going to be mean. Actually, Sam Elliott, everything was ad-lib. He just didn't care.
Yeah, who knows?
Tough. Yelling at everybody.
Yeah, he had a great some bit. All right, so while we're talking about the Sergeant Major, this is the deleted scene I want to talk to you about. Okay, so there's a deleted scene where before we are introduced to the Sergeant Major, the first time we see him is that scene, that first clip we played, right? And so the radio guys, Greg Clark, and the other radio guys are all kind of sitting around and they're working on their gear and they're smoking. And the guy's like, I wonder what the new colonel's going to be like. And the other guy says, it doesn't matter what he's like. It's the Sergeant Major. He's the one you got to worry about. And this other guy says, well, I don't know. The only thing I know about the Sergeant Major is this. So there was this other, unit, right? And they got a new lieutenant. So the lieutenant comes in and he's yelling at all of his sergeants. And he's like, dress them up and down. And he says, I want you to go back into your bunks and get all of your medals and put them on. I want to see what kind of men I'm going to be leading into battle. So they all go back and they come back and everybody's wearing their medals except for this one dude. And he's like yelling at this guy. He's like, where are your medals? Like, what kind of man are you? Have you not done anything yet? He says, I want you to go back and I want you to pin all of your medals onto your chest. So the guy goes back. He comes back out. He is completely naked, 100% naked. And he has not one, but 2 purple hearts pinned to his bare chest. Right? So now everyone is like, whoa. And the guy says, was that our Sergeant Major? He says, no. Our Sergeant Major, or that guy, is scared of our Sergeant Major. And then that's how they introduced the new Sergeant Major. So I really like that scene, and I wish it was in the movie because it really goes to kind of show how badass the Sergeant Major is. So
I think that would have been a little bit too much.
Oh, man, I love it. I like that one a lot. I mean, because the scene itself is great because they actually show when they're in the story the guy's telling, the guy literally standing there naked with 2 purple hearts pinned to his chest as he's bleeding there. And the lieutenant then stops to salute him because, I mean, Purple Heart, if you're unaware of that, that's the medal you're given if you were wounded in combat. And the fact that he had 2 of them and it was still in active duty is super instant respect, So you both respected and feared those men. Anyway, this was kind of funny too. Again, most of my clips are all the beginning part of the movie.
Oh, yes, and one more thing, dear Lord. About our enemies. Ignore their heathen prayers and help us blow those little bastards straight to hell.
It just caught me off guard the first time I saw it. I was not ready for that.
Can you see Jesus like, hey, Dad? Oh, come on, man. That's not okay.
Yeah, you can't say stuff like
Jeezy
that.
Cruzy.
Don't call me Jeezy Cruzy. Damn it. How do we always go back to Eddie Izzard?
We haven't done it like 6 episodes. So it's okay.
Well, we didn't do it last week, but I'm pretty sure we did the week before. Phone. That was loud. Do you guys buy his accent? Did Mel Gibson do a good accent? I wasn't really sure what that accent was, but
I felt like his accent it was not on the entire time. Yeah. Like it was.
I didn't even think he had a.
Yeah, it was normal Mel Gibson for a while, and then, but I felt like as the movie went on, it was normal Mel Gibson. But at the beginning, it was like a bad Southern accent.
Yeah. And it's funny, Andrew, you said that. I don't remember if I captured this in the trivia or not, but the battle scene, they actually filmed in sequential order. Because there was no reason not to. You had all the extras there, you had all the guys there, they just film it, right? And they did that to kind of, so the actors would have a more of appreciation of what was happening to them and their characters and stuff like that, so they can kind of be more into it. So as you say that, it actually kind of makes sense that Mel Gibson's just like halfway through the day, he's like, man, I'm kind of tired of this. I'm just going to pull a Princess Leia and just stop, Because at the beginning of the movie, when he's talking to Snake shit, like it sounds Southern, like not, Alabama Southern, but how people around here talk, like Shelby Southern,
Yeah.
Hold on now. Hold on.
That was just for you.
That's pretty close. It's Alabama.
Okay.
It's
Well, so here's a little more of him being
my son's from Shelby, and
oh,
he's about as country as you can get.
Yeah, my 3-year-old's from Gastonia right now, and I tell you what, his Southern accent cracks me up. I almost want to just move away just to get him away from it.
No, don't you do that. No,
dude, it's crazy, man. When listen to him talk, it's funny. Anyway, this was a fun little bit.
What is this, sir? Nothing's wrong, except there's nothing wrong.
Like it's almost like he's trying to channel, like Clint Eastwood or something,
or a country version of. Oh no, I'm drawing a blank. Taking. What's his name?
Liam Neeson.
Yeah.
A little bit. Yeah, just.
What is this, sir? Nothing's wrong except there's nothing wrong.
There's nothing wrong except there's nothing wrong. This was.
I don't have any money.
So, there were two moments in the movie that I am not ashamed to admit that I got emotional, even having seen this movie as many times as I had.
Preach.
And I watched this movie in my office yesterday at work, and I actually had to shut the door because there's a part at the end of the movie that really is gut-wrenching, and I had to shut the door because, frankly, I didn't want my students to see me, basically sobbing.
Mm-hmm.
But this was the first moment that gets me, right? So they've rescued the knoll, right? And the guys are just sitting there and they are exhausted, and this happens.
That's a nice day, Sergeant Savage.
I don't know if you can hear it with the music being loud, but could you hear what he says?
Yeah.
It just gets me. Like, I don't know why that particular moment, but that's the one that got me the first time. Really got me. The one that gets me at the end of the movie is so Mel Gibson is standing there in front of the reflecting wall, right? The memorial, and the third panel west is just that battle, right? And then they put the actual names of all the men that died in that battle. And this happened. It happens every time. It happened in the theater, and it happened this time. The single trumpet is playing the tune, right? Is basically playing. It's called something. It's called the memorial, or it's called something that is actually used in the military, right? And it happened to me when the names are coming up, right? And there's a name from High Point, North Carolina, which is where I'm from, and it hits me like a freaking brick that this is real. Like, these were real men who died for who you know what I'm saying? Like, it became personal because it was from my hometown, and then I instantly connected to that person, and every time it just gets me emotional, and I can't handle it. So I say bravo to the filmmakers of this movie for doing that, because you made me uncomfortable, and that's what you were supposed to do. So that was one thing they did really well. It gets me every time. So there was that. Time for a little more brevity.
Can't take no pictures lying down there, Sonny.
I love that guy.
And he carried a pistol. Like, he didn't use an assault rifle. He just carried a pistol.
Yeah. He says, "Oh, it's a bunch of plastic." He says, "You think he's gonna be close enough for you to use that pistol? What do you think?" I just love that. That was great. And then the best line in the movie, in my opinion.
I wonder what was going through Custer's mind when he realized he led his men into a slaughter.
Sorry, Custer was a pussy. You ain't.
I love that, man. I love it. Custer was a pussy. Okay. I did write down a few tropes. Let's plan this dramatic thing to be dramatic, So, like, when he says, "This will be our horse," and then the helicopter comes in and does a touch and go and then leaves. Like, how did you know when to do that? All right, so I'm going to walk in. I want you to count to 100, and then you're going to come in and do the helicopter thing. So hopefully my speech will coincide directly with what you need to do. Okay. All right, good. Go. Training montage. I guess that deserves a good, thing. Here we go. Sorry. There you go. Training montage. Crazy reporter. Barry Pepper's character. Crazy reporter. Hand out of the dirt to signify life. Sergeant Savage, and his hand comes up. That's a trope. I actually don't like that trope. That trope kind of sucks and can actually go away. I'm kind of tired of that trope. And the press are all assholes. Even in this movie, we got to find a way to make fun of the press and show that they're assholes.
Mm-hmm.
So this horrible war that you were in, what do you think about the game? Like, that's basically what it was, right? Like, so what do you think about the men What? Go away. Why are you here? Can I not like go back home and cry and take a shower and get over what happened and then we can talk, right? Just whatever. Press are assholes. That's it. That's all I got from that. You guys have anything you want to add before we move on to trivia?
No.
No?
I'm good.
Good? Corny?
Bear tears the man.
All right.
And now for some more bad news. Ready?
Also, real quick before we go there, I just want to say, Corny, this reminded me of you. The episode of DS9 I watched like 2 nights ago. It reminded me basically of like Children of the Corn meets Star Trek.
You son of a...
Basically what happens is like they go down to this planet and all technology doesn't work. And so they're basically stuck with these people that have this kind of weird hierarchy system. And they're like living in the fields. And I'm like, holy crap, this is like Children of the Corn. It was very strange. And of course they were able to leave and blah, 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 blah. But it just kind of reminded me of that. So no, I'm not going to play the Malachi clip. So you're fine. Okay.
I don't trust you.
I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. I promise. All right. Trivia. All right. This is actually kind of sad. One of the real-life officers who survived the battle was Lieutenant Rick Rescorla. I'm sorry, I'm pronouncing your name wrong, sir. I apologize. Who was the main figure on the cover of General Moore's book on which the movie was based. A biography of Mr. Guy Rescorla was very interesting life, and his book was published in the mid-2000s called Heart of a Lion. He died in the 9/11 attacks while employed as head of security for Morgan & Stanley, while making sure all of the company's employees had gotten out of the World Trade Center, which they had.
Wow.
So he died doing his job, and he did it well. So that's pretty sad and awesome kind of at the same time.
Yeah.
The photographer Joseph Galloway married the daughter of Captain Thomas Metzger, who is Agent Coulson, who gave up his seat on the chopper to the soldier who was more wounded and then was shot. So he married that guy's daughter. So which leads me to ask the question, how old was, Agent Coulson in the movie that guy could marry his daughter? I mean, I guess there's probably some age difference there, but anyway, the closing music, I mentioned this, the closing music, Mansions of the Lord, has become the unofficial Army funeral hymn. And it was used at the recessional at President Ronald Reagan's funeral. According to American Sniper Chris Kyle, who did the American Sniper movie and book, this film is shown to U.S. Navy Special Forces recruits to inspire them before they begin Hell Week stage of their SEAL training. I find that very interesting. That they show... Go ahead.
Oh, I said, fun fact. I have a friend who's going into the Navy, and he is hoping that he will go SEAL. So I'll be very curious to see.
Yeah, let's ask him that. Most of the most movies don't film in chronological order, but they did that in this. I told you that already. And the last thing I wrote was this, or I got was this. And this is, again, sad and speaks to that war is, in fact, hell. The real Joseph Galloway stepped out of the movie theater doing a scene saying, quote, "That was my nightmare for 36 years, and I don't want to see it again." There was one that I didn't capture, but I just remembered reading that kind of just gave me chills, is that they had that guy, Joseph Galloway, on set, and when the actor playing I'm going to say his name right.
Barry Pepper?
No, not Barry Pepper. I want to make sure I say his name right. He was the guy. He was like, "Hey, I'm having a baby today." Nakayama, Jimmy Nakayama. He said when he met the actor, he couldn't look at him because it hurt so much to like even look at the actor portraying the man that he watched die and get burned to death, and he had to walk away. It brought back too much real for him. So,
speaking of brought back too much, how about the grabbing him by his legs and his skin coming off.
God, man, that still makes my
like it's been hours since I've seen that, and I literally just got goosebumps thinking about that.
I hope you weren't going to say it makes my skin crawl, because
I
that would have been a poor choice of words.
Yeah.
I almost did.
Yeah.
I had to.
It's funny. I almost did too, Corny. I was like, oh, it makes my skin feel awful.
Okay, so speaking of terrible things that might have been said, I actually did do one of those things the other day. I was at work, and my right knee's been giving me some issues, and I go around. I go around to a desk to grab something, and so I go, man, my legs are really killing me. I turn around, and there's a guy who has had his legs amputated, sitting in a wheelchair behind me when I turn, and I was like, oh no.
Right.
I just kind of walked on.
Yeah.
I didn't do it out of a joke. I mean, just my knee's actually killing me.
Right. And then what can you say at that point,
So I just pushed him out of the chair, and I was like, you know what?
Stop it.
It's not gonna get any worse, pal.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I did not do that, folks.
I know. Soundtrack great. I just said it was great and emotional. I thought it was great. I'm not going to ever buy it because it would probably make me cry as I'm listening to it. What did I learn? Well, I learned that war is hell, and that this movie should have made way more money because it was actually a pretty great movie, I think. There you go. Top 3 USA war movies. I had forgotten when we first started to do this that we had already done Vietnam movies because of Good Morning Vietnam, which is good because I've only seen basically 3 Vietnam War movies, and this counts as one of them. In fact, my third was actually going to be a stretch and say Forrest Gump. So I'm glad we're not using those. So instead, we're just going to say movies that are based with that have the United States wars that the United States fought in. So movies that are based on wars that the United States fought in. I hope I've explained that well enough. So, Andrew, you lead off.
Okay. I have a couple of honorable mentions here. I guess one of my favorite Cold War movies, Spies Like Us.
Okay.
And then Inglourious Bastards. Honorable mentions there. And then number 3, Bridge of Spies, which I just recently saw with Tom Hanks.
It's good, isn't it?
Very good movie.
Yeah.
Number 2, Memphis Belle.
Oh, that's such a good movie.
And I had forgotten about it, actually, until I was looking at my lists. And I used to watch it all the time.
Yeah. That scene when they're having to hand crank down the wheel so they can land is actually like really well done and super intense. And it was the last good movie Billy Zane was in.
Yes, it was. And then number 1 would actually be this one if I was not going to play by the rules, but I really like this movie. But I'm going with Lincoln as number 1.
I've not seen that. I need to watch that.
It's very good.
All right. It makes me happy that you say that because I'm afraid to say who actually told me this because people that know them listen to the show. But I was told by people that it was a terrible movie and it's slow because it's not about the war. It's just about Lincoln. And I'm like,
right.
Well, that's why you get Daniel Day-Lewis to play Abraham Lincoln so you can make it about him. Anyway.
Yeah, I thought it was a very good movie.
So I'm interested in watching it. Corny.
Yes. What's up?
This is where you tell us your top 3 movies.
All right. My number 3. Actually, can I do Enemy at the Gates? Is that allowed?
Well, it's World War II, but the movie is not about the U.S. involvement.
Okay.
So no.
All right, fine. All right. My number 3 is Jarhead.
All right.
All right. My number 2, I want to go with Three Kings. However, does that work?
Yeah. I mean, Desert Storm, yeah.
Okay. All right. An honorable mention of Platoon.
Okay.
Because oddly enough, it was like one of the first really hard movies I've seen. And number 1, Saving Private Ryan.
All right. Cool.
How about you, Shawn?
I just realized one of my honorable mentions doesn't count because it's based off of a fake war that the U.S. is involved in, so I can't use Crimson Tide. But
I told you to let it go fake.
no, I'm okay because I got plenty of other ones. So honorable mention of Flags of Our Fathers. Clint Eastwood directed. I read the book. The book is phenomenal, and there's a great quick story about it. The movie. If you guys have you seen that movie? Either one of you seen that movie?
I have not.
Corny?
Oh, sorry. What was that?
Flags of Our Fathers.
I have not.
The movie is about, and the book is about the Battle of Iwo Jima, right? And the 7 dudes. We've all seen it, right? The 7 guys raising the flag.
Yeah.
The 7 Marines.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's about them, right? And it's about that battle. Well, that particular moment in time was basically an accident, right? They invaded the island and they took the hill first, right? So they thought that the battle was over, and all that crap on the surface is plumbing so that the Japanese soldiers could have fresh water when it rained. So someone had put a flag up on top. And then someone else said, some general was like, hey, why don't you guys go put a big flag up there, right? Go put a bigger flag so we can see it, right? So then they run this big flag up there. And so these guys were like, hey, we attached it to this pipe. It's really heavy. Help me lift it. So they were just putting this pipe in place. And this photographer just got the picture of the century while they were doing it, which would later basically become the rallying cry behind the Marines. So anyway, it's a really great movie. And I don't want to get too much farther away from where we're supposed to go, but there's a story about that movie is that Iwo Jima is the island that we invaded, and we were there for a long time. It took a long time to take because so much of the fighting with the Japanese were underground and horrible, horrible things. But the island next to it's called Chichijima, and they had to do bombing runs on it. And there's another book that I read about these 6 pilots who were shot down during their bombing runs, or 7 pilots that were shot down. 6 of them had to land and parachute onto the island. The 7th went out to sea a little bit and was rescued by a submarine, and it was noted that there was on the island, Japanese officers said to a pilot, like, you guys risked a submarine to save that one pilot. And he said, yeah, that's what we do in America. We risk our lives for each other because that's the right thing to do. And he said, Japanese army, you just drown. We're not going to risk a boat to save one man. That man they saved was George Bush. He was a pilot during World War II. So anyway, okay, there you go. There's that. Yeah. So that's my number 3. Sorry for the long story. My other honorable mention is Empire of the Sun. With a very young Christian Bale. It's a good World War II movie.
I will be Batman.
My number 3 is Glory with the Denzel and the Matthew Broderick. It's a really, really fine movie. And
damn it.
What? That you didn't think of that one?
That should have been my number 1.
It's such a great movie. Number 2 is Gettysburg. Mentioned earlier. Again, phenomenal film. When Jeff Daniels screams bayonet, it gives me chills. And number 1, I put Saving Private Ryan. So that's it. That's our thing. I don't think we have any emails, unless Sam has sent another fake one to us, which I don't think he has done.
He did actually.
No, he didn't. Did he really?
Yeah, he did. I mean,
no, he didn't.
Chris Teller's did.
Oh, wait. Oh, thanks.
No, I'm not lying.
I'm not. Did you send that, or was that? It's from an iPhone, so that was Sam, right?
Yeah, I mean, it can't be me.
Yeah, because it's from an iPhone. That's hilarious. Sam actually sent an email, and all it says is "suck it, Shawn." So, what an asshole!
You know, it'd be great if it were me that I just found an iDevice that I could just do this with.
So send us your emails to cheapseatreviews@gmail.com. Out of 10, Andrew.
I enjoyed this. I'm going to give it let's go 8.7.
Oh, wow. Okay. All right, Corny.
Sorry. I have to see what IMDb gave. I did not have that page up. No. Yeah, I'm going to give it an 8.2. I was actually very pleased with the movie.
All right.
Even though Mel Gibson lived.
You just don't like Mel Gibson.
I think so.
I'm a big fan, so I'm just going to kind of like go right in the middle where you guys were. I'm just going to say 8.5. I like this movie a lot. I think it's great in the fact that it really depicts how awful war is. So there you go. That's it. That's our show. What are we doing next week? Well, according to the list. Now, as I record this, and as you were hearing this, it's July. But as we record this, it's still June. So we've got a bunch of movies they're coming up that I don't know if they're still going to be streaming, because as we get to a new month, things change. I do know that Netflix is pulling all of the Star Trek movies. So we will not get to do Star Trek 5 in a few weeks. So I'm actually really bummed out about that. So instead, I will put something equally cheesy in there. So next week, if it's streaming, we will do The Forbidden Kingdom, which is the Jackie Chan. Jet
I don't think
Li,
we should do that. It's forbidden.
Jackie Chan, Jet Li, kick flick. And then after that, we will do Sahara.
I'm a fan.
And then after that will be...
all right.
That's right.
All right.
After that will be our first of our gentlemen who did the $25 donation on our GoFundMe account, and we will watch Godzilla Final Wars.
Who's that with, Shawn?
That's Big Mike.
Big Mike?
Big Mike Antonucci. So... and then after that, I think after that, I haven't finalized his schedule yet, but after that will be Batman versus Superman discussion with listener Alan, who has been sending me messages for the last 2 weeks, yelling at me that we have been making fun of that movie, and we haven't seen it yet. So Andrew recently purchased it, so I will watch it finally, so that we can have discussions about it.
So you can
And I may be on his side.
Alan's side?
Yeah. I may be on his side, yeah.
All right. So so you said you bought the extended version, right?
I did. So
I've heard that version makes a lot more sense.
Well, yeah, it made sense to me, but we'll get into that later.
Yeah. So I'm interested to see what happens. There you go. So that's what we're doing next week. Winner. There you go. I'm just going through my script, make sure I've said everything I'm supposed to say too.
Sam was a jerk.
Sam was a jerk, and he can suck it. So that's it. That's going to do it. So thanks for listening. You may, of course, leave us a review on iTunes and Stitcher and Google Play. So for those of you who have the Android devices, you may listen finally on Google Play. So do that. You may visit our website, cheapseatreviews.com. Once Sam gets back from vacation, he'll actually update the website. Like us on Facebook, facebook.com/cheapseatreviews. Follow us on Twitter @cheapseatcast. I am at Shawn J. Allred. Sam is at Suniji16. Corny is at Johnny Darker16. And Andrew is at A. Jimison. You may send us your emails to cheapseatreviews@gmail.com. Please send us your emails. I like the emails. I like reading them. I just basically want to know that A, you are listening, people are listening, and that your phones just aren't on auto download. And B, I want to know your thoughts. I want to know what movies you want us to do. If there's a movie that you want us to do that isn't streaming, but maybe it's in Redbox, I think we can all spend $1 to go watch it. So just let us know what you want us to do. This show's about what you guys want to do, and partially what I want to do. I'm just teasing. No, actually, I'm not teasing at all. That's actually pretty accurate. So there you go. So call it, and of course you can leave us a voicemail, 704-271-4290. So on behalf of Corny, Andrew, not Sam because he can suck it, this is Shawn saying thank you for listening. Good night, and we'll see you next week for The Forbidden Kingdom. Maybe.